Well, first of all, wanted to thank you both for having us back. We've been here performing for several years, and ECU has always been a stronghold of guitar in the United States. So congratulations to Elliot for your retirement, and to Chip for the appointment.
Thank you.
So we're looking forward to see all the things that you will do here, and how can we support as a guitar community your endeavors.
Thank you.
So it's a honor
Oh,
and a privilege.
well, it's
Yeah.
just a pleasure to have you guys back.
Oh, it's,
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to be back.
Yeah.
We are
I
happy to
think-
be here.
I think the first time you were here was in 2015.
it's possible.
I think that's about
If you
right.
can
That
remember
was-
that, that's
Yeah.
already like
Yeah.
I had no idea, but it's very possible.
And the last few years you've gotten so popular, it's gotten really difficult to bring you in the summer.
Yes, summer has been particularly challenging.
I was really happy to have you on the Hispanic Heritage Series, which has been in place here since 2017. And you were here. It's one of the first things after the pandemic that we
That
did.
wa- that
It
was
was the
done.
first concert that we did after the pandemic in 2021. We
I
came
think
back
that was
in
probably
September.
about. I think that was
Yeah.
probably one of the first concerts I played live after
Right,
the pandemic.
Right, right.
Wow.
Which you felt
Yeah.
it felt great.
Yeah.
Because playing in front of a camera was not an ideal situation. But we did what we did to survive, and in this case, actually, this is another event for today because this is the resurgence of our duo. We used to play before, and Elena went to do her DMA at Northwestern, so we had to put things on hold. And this is actually the very first concert we're gonna play
Oh, great.
Nice.
since
Since we played
Since
together,
we played together.
since this pause that was quite long actually.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Do you all play together every day as a duo? Or
Oh, we're married. Like
Yeah,
this.
right.
We wish,
Yeah.
but we also have other obligations.
Right.
Yeah, believe me, like it's just when we go home, the least thing that we want to talk immediately is guitar, is shops. We're gonna like
Yeah.
just talk about something else, music in general, but like not. But yeah, it's
Sometimes you just want to watch a movie, but
not possible.
Right.
it's,
After being playing so many concerts, it's the road gets lonely.
Oh, yeah.
And I think like
Uh-huh.
you know what, like if I'm gonna be lonely, I better be lonely with her
Right.
together
Yeah,
somewhere else
sure.
and that we don't know,
Yeah.
rather than be. And it makes I'm hoping that I can create some balance in which we can play both solos and then also duos, just so we can travel
Yeah.
together a little bit more often.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll know about that. Like you both have played so many times and been on the road. At some point, all hotels look the same, and you're like wondering, like, what the heck am I? Sometimes
Yeah.
you need to look at the schedule. Oh, I'm here, just to
Right.
get the bearings. So it is exciting to be back. It is always exciting to perform, and for us, a way to like just reconnect in a different level
Right.
as
Right.
guitarists.
Right.
But all good. And we were learning a little bit about you, Chip.
Uh-huh.
That did not know a lot, but I'm hoping to know a lot more. And congrats on all your we were checking videos of you.
Oh,
while we were
okay.
traveling, like just to see, like
What's this guy all
what
about?
this guy all about. Well, I mean, especially since we were gonna do an interview, it's like okay,
Right.
so what?
Yeah.
What are we meeting?
Yeah.
So, congrats in all you have done. It's great.
Thank you very much.
And
Yeah, I was checking your videos, both of your videos as well.
yeah, well,
Getting educated for the interview, but
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see like how much you've done with jazz as well, which is great.
Thanks.
It's a great thing. I have recorded with Paquito Rivera.
oh,
Sometimes,
fantastic!
and
Yes.
it's like it's a fun. It was one of these situations that you're like, man, I still have to practice a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He came. We did this was a CD for Arturo Stable. This a Cuban percussionist, that great composer, and he wrote this. And then he hands me a tune just with a chord chart.
yeah.
I said, I need you to like do an arrangement of this for clarinet, guitar, and like we're gonna ask Paquito to play it. And I was like, wow, okay. Man, no pressure. So
Keith was great.
yeah, I know,
Keith's
but
like
like
a king.
he came. I did the arrangement. He didn't even see the music. He arrived the day to the studio. I said, "So what are we doing?" He opened the clarinet, and then he like looked at the chart. Just okay, let's run it once, and then he gave a couple suggestions of some things. Literally, like we went, play it through, and then let's do one more take just in
Yeah.
case. And he closed the clarinet and walked out.
That-
I was like, all right.
That sounds like a jazz performance.
Yeah, it
that's-
was scary though because
Yeah.
we're thinking like classical recording is just such a different ball game. He just and we kept the first take,
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
not even editing. It was just like this
Kept
is
the
it,
first take.
and then he walked out. And I was like, man, okay.
Well, I think that's great. I mean, any chance that you can have like a bridge between the styles of music. I mean,
Correct.
back in the '90s or maybe late '80s, they used to have the great guitars where they'd have Leo Kottke or Pepe Romero,
Yeah.
Joe Pass, John Williams,
Mhm.
and there was a video that came out of John Williams playing the intro to the Chaconne, and Joe Pass says, "Boy, I'd like to improvise on that." You might have seen that video.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
Joe Pass
yeah.
starts playing these jazz lines. I
The
mean,
changes on
Right.
the Chaconne.
Right.
I think it's super healthy to have cross pollination because we're all musicians. It doesn't matter what style we're doing. If it's good music, it's good music.
Particularly like Latin jazz is very strong in Cuba, so I
Right.
grew up listening to a lot of that.
I wanted to
and-
ask you
and
about
going to
that. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm not as proficient at jazz as I would like it to be. I can dabble, but like not at that level. And it was just very exciting always to. There are two main avenues in Cuba. It was the jazz, Latin jazz, and everything, and then there's classical music.
Right.
And things got a little blurry at some point because it was very difficult to make a living just as a classical musician.
Yeah.
So everybody had to like,
Do the other.
cross the
Yeah.
bridge and and play concerts and anything that allows you to travel, to be able to perform, to be on the stage. Pretty much, it was done.
However, I must say that if you really go in depth, I don't think at some point you can keep the two. I think it's important to explore different styles, but at some point everybody has to choose what's the primary, because I don't
Yeah.
think you can be as good.
It's
in-
hard.
in
It's hard to
both.
be
Yeah.
excellent.
To the point that I would say it's impossible to be like really top of the line into. I mean, who is top of the line into nobody? Just tells us
Not
pretty
me.
much that
Right.
that if it's John
Yeah.
Williams, he just will like, what do we know him? Classical. Yes, he
Yes.
can do a little bit the collaborations,
Yeah.
and if we're talking Joe Pass, it's that.
It's
Uh,
jazz.
It's jazz.
Oh,
If it's
yeah.
flamenco, it's flamenco. I think it's very important to find who you are and where you really gravitate towards.
Mhm.
There are a few guys like a couple of guys in the Los Angeles Guitar Quartet.
Yeah.
I think Matthew Greif is.
Yeah.
He
He's a
actually
jazz
plays
player.
very well.
is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Alexei Viana.
Yeah.
There's a very accomplished classical guitar player, and he actually done. But for example, just to make the point of Alina with Alexei, which Alexei, if you're watching this, I don't know a lot of what you've been up to lately, but but I haven't heard him much on the classical scene, and every
Uh-huh.
time I see him, like he's doing more jazz,
Jazz.
now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have a very good student that studied in San Francisco with Sergio, Ben Dameron.
Uh-huh.
Then when he came to do the masters with me, it was a very good, excellent classical guitar player, I should say, competition winner and all that.
Right.
But I knew that his heart was on jazz, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Why are you fighting it?
Yeah.
Why are you fighting it? Like you still can do classical whenever you want, and it can create some variety in your shows and all that. But like, don't
Mhm.
fight it."
Yeah.
And
Right.
now he's doing, I think, mostly jazz. But playing some things in concert, then he picks up and play a classical piece, and then it's
Mhm.
like everybody's like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
my hats off
Yeah,
to
because
you."
at the end you see whoever finds what really speaks to the person, they somehow make it in that area. And if you just try to struggle and go, oh, this is supposedly will have more views, but your heart is not there, it always will be a little kind of transparent. We cannot put the finger why, but we can always say that something is like not speaking to
Not
the
there,
audience
Mhm.
as much. It's not as sincere.
It's
Right.
not tangible, but it is there. It's something there that
Yes.
is not.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't come across.
Yeah.
So, but it definitely.
But enriching is absolutely amazing, especially for classical guitar. For classical guitarists, I think it's important to, to know all those chords, progressions, notes, and it's a lot of actually great stuff.
Both
Right.
worlds not only should coexist, but they should feed from each other.
Yeah.
Like we have
Absolutely.
a fretboard harmony class at UWM.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have the jazz teacher.
Yeah.
This-
Right. Did
so
you
they-
co-teach?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So-
nice.
oh
Yeah,
yes.
good.
But like I need my classical guitarists to know where the notes are in the fingerboard, not just
Right.
because of the what's written on the paper.
Yeah.
So and they get a shock when they take that class. It's like
notes,
like,
chords,
whoa.
intervals, everything.
yeah, like all of a sudden I realized that I don't know a fingerboard at all, and we are notorious. The setup on an instrument is difficult enough
Yeah.
that it's not as idiomatic as
Amazing.
piano, and that you can transpose very easily. Just everything is more visible just because that third string
It's not
throws
even the
everything off.
violin, the
Yeah.
intervals shift.
The interval
so
shift, yeah.
All the shapes shift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they are notoriously bad classical guitarists in sight reading.
I was
Yes.
going to ask about, with both of you, about how strategies you have for helping guitarists learn to read music better. I mean, you
Well,
fretboard harmony
I-
class.
Studied.
Studied
There's no
Studied
other way.
over
It's,
other-
it's just
yeah.
like everything. Like you know
Everything.
what
like-
what we like doing in particular is we like having, for example, in every lesson, start a lesson with sight reading something.
Good.
Just put it on there and let's go. And it's a little of the pressure, but they start getting. It's just like exposure,
Yeah.
Nobody learned how to speak or read fluently
Mm-hmm.
until you just did it enough.
Yeah.
And it's just the truth about that, and not only that, but it allows you to check repertoire that otherwise you wouldn't read it, and then
Mhm.
so think of sight reading as exploratory thing in which you improve that, but also look at repertoire
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and try to find out what direction you think you want to go. There are many papers, even DMA dissertations written on the subject of sight reading because of the essential difficulty innate to our instrument
Mm-hmm.
that are out there. Like Matt Fallon. There's this
Yes,
new
the
book.
books.
This new book by he does a classical guitar corner from Australia. Oh my God, forgive me the name.
I think at Powys.
Powys. Yes, he just did a new book of sight reading that is quite good. I think quite comprehensive. There's this in Texas, in Denton, this guy that did this whole book based on sight reading and the Guidonian hand and
Oh,
Wow.
Brian Burns.
Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm like a little tired, so I cannot remember
Sure,
any
it's
name.
okay.
Hopefully, I remember notes. But Brian Burns did this book, and I think it's quite clever. I, in particular, and I think Alina feels the same, because I grew up with the Russian system in Cuba. We were heavily trained in sight singing, and and so
Yeah.
we had a connection of pitch, name, scale degree,
Yeah.
and just naming the notes. The whole, and this will be contrary to what is taught in the United States, but the whole movable do.
It's
Yeah.
but it's not applicable to the instrument.
It's
It's
not
applicable
a-
to other to
For
maybe
singing.
ear training, but not applicable to.
For
the
your training, it
instrument.
makes it perfect because you get all your intervals, you understand how everything falls. But in the instrument, the layout, if you start naming different notes according to interbalic relationships, then you really start getting lost within the
Yeah. Okay.
within the
I
fingerboard.
think also in
Mhm.
sight reading, it's also important to, in a way, to diagnose why exactly a student or a person has a problem with sighting, because it can be like just as basic as not even recognizing notes on the paper.
Mm.
And then, okay, so if that's a problem, you need just to learn physically the notes on the paper. We need to know where the notes in the fingerboard are. I mean, and where is the gap, and then to put that together and really practice different sight reading.
Mhm.
And when they get better at that, they also
Yeah.
get better at
Right.
coming out with fingering.
And then
solutions and
rhythm.
things.
Are we
Yeah.
comfortable
Rhythm.
reading rhythm?
Rhythm is a big
Rhythms.
thing for
Yeah.
guitarists.
Right. Right.
It's like, woo, we have a bad rep with rhythm, which
No.
I don't think it should be.
Oh,
like, you
but
know.
it's deserved.
It's I know, but like, so what we do like at UWM I have students take like a 100 level percussion class.
Oh, good idea.
So
Yeah.
Wow,
they do
that's
they need to
smart.
It's all about
that.
rhythm,
They
yeah.
need to do that. then they also I would make them do the conducting, so they understand, you know, pulse, they understand like flow, like they need to all do conducting
entrance,
once
how it-
entrances, like
Right.
it will help them to understand also when they are playing with orchestra,
Right.
and as anything
And
that
not
I
only
can
in
get
orchestra,
them.
not only with orchestra, just with each other, like
Yeah,
with
an
a
ensemble,
chamber,
ensemble,
ensemble,
ensemble setting, yeah, of
setting.
course.
I used to have a sign on my door. It was Dr. Frank's Institute for the Rhythmically Challenged.
I like that.
Because I was
I will,
having,
I will remember that. We should make an.
I was spending
Make a new institute.
so much time on rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the majority of time. I
But
think,
then,
I should
but
say.
then
Yeah.
again, it's also part of sight reading. So which element is not there, and if all of them, then if you're trying to approach all of them, that's maybe not a very realistic
Sure.
approach.
Oh, yeah.
But that also goes all down to education,
Yeah.
because in Cuba as well as in Russia, they had in Belarus, they had like this tracking system. So they started learning since they were like 7 years old.
All right. Wow.
Violin,
Yeah.
cello, and then guitar. They started at 9 or 10 years old.
Mhm.
What does that mean? That they also teach them the curriculum there. So we start doing sightseeing that early. We start doing
Wow.
all of that this early. In the United States, people learn the instrument by themselves generally,
Yeah.
and they don't have the core that goes along with it. Then in
Yeah.
college they say that I think I want to major in this, and then like, oh wait a minute,
It's
it's
like
like
singing and theory and
yeah,
everything you
it's
get.
everything
Yeah.
else it hasn't been
Right.
ever there, and then all of a sudden you think that. However, I should say that they both have their benefits.
Mhm.
Because in the case of the tracking system, in which you start early, they do it also with sports. They do it with anything. You know, when you
Yeah.
go to learn how to swim, they're gonna send you to the Olympics. This is not just for you to
Yeah.
swim so you don't drown. This is just for you to go to the Olympics. So
Right.
everything is a little bit very intense. And if it happens to be not the right fit for you, then you can feel yourself stuck at some point,
Uh-huh.
which is the case with many musicians that at some point when they get to some level of the career, they already have put so much time. They still finishing high school, then they feel that they should continue,
Mhm.
but because of the tracking system, they were doing music for so long that it's harder for them to see a way out of that.
I see.
And then they continue that, and then they are not happy, and they don't. They often do not bloom. It's a great system if you are one of the, let's say, chosen that
Right.
you're good. Then you're nurturing that so
Yeah,
early.
Yeah.
Right.
But actually, it's amazing because it's the same. It's the same what we read in the first texts. Like if you take Luis Milan, which is the first publication, El Maestro for the viola, he actually says in the introduction. So those two books are for the beginners. He says that that's a text for the beginners. But he writes that before that you actually have to study the
Music theory.
what they
the
call
tonus.
canto organo, like which is just pretty much understand like the singing first
Mhm.
before you actually take the musical instrument.
Wow.
So it seems that it's this
It would be good.
challenge between what we know and what we play
Yeah.
existed
Yeah.
probably parallel to all history of our
Right.
instruments.
Sure.
Yeah.
But going back to the point of like both systems, like tracking being ideal for that person that actually becomes a great musician,
Mhm.
not so great for everyone else. And then the opposite is true in the United States. Like kids have freedom of exploring and really find avenues, and you have time. But that's why I think it's of the most importance in the United States education to start implementing better pre-college divisions
Yes.
Yeah.
programs,
Mhm.
because there's Interlochen in Michigan,
Mhm.
and there's like
Brevard,
Idlewild,
yes. Yeah.
Idlewild, there's Brevard, like,
Mhm.
but you know, look at the massive country
Yeah.
that we're having, like, and
Oh, yeah.
only like 4 or 5 institutions that
Mhm.
can actually teach serious music
Yeah.
earlier
Oh, yeah.
age. Is that's I think what things are starting to get a little
Yeah.
bit of sync.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
then
You know,
people come to college and they're expected already to.
Right.
to be a full blown musician, it's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Which wasn't the case here when I got here.
Yeah, I imagine. You know, but you were like,
You built it.
okay.
But
Let me
you
ask you
built it.
You
something.
built it.
Right.
What year did you start it here?
1988.
Mamma mia. So you see, 1988 things were very different. I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had a couple there are a couple of programs in North Carolina. Well, there's School of the Arts,
Yeah.
and then there were a couple of in Greensboro and High Point. There were performing arts
Magnets,
magnets.
yeah.
That I got several students from those places.
Mm. So you are responsible you
Yeah.
and Bruce Holtzman and Tone and many of you are responsible for being the guitarists today in the United States. Like, it's a lot. We have to thank you for all that
Oh.
effort. It's like uncharted territory, created
Right.
a path of your own.
Yes.
It's always difficult,
Yeah.
but we thank you. We
Well,
thank you because the
absolutely.
guitarists right
Well-
now are the highest point ever been in this
Right.
country.
Well, you guys have a lot to do with that.
Well, we had to pick up from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, like a drum thing, Uncharted. In the case, and I experienced a little bit on our own flesh because when we went to Milwaukee, there was no guitar program at all there.
Uh-huh.
Right.
There was nothing.
Wow.
It was like a clean slate, which it was a difficult thing, but also an opportunity to create. Okay, like if we want to create a program, what would it be? Like something that reflects to what we believe it should be part of education of guitars.
Mhm.
And we crafted this whole thing, and we're very proud of that. But like I understand the difficulties of going through uncharted territory to some degree. Of course, it's not the same
Right.
at all. Like, guitar is not what it used to be. We had all that
Yeah.
stigma
Oh yeah.
before, on top of us
Oh.
that as an accompanying instrument.
Sure.
Mhm.
Well, if it weren't for Bruce, I couldn't have done this job.
I understand. Like, but again, a
If
change.
I
There's a
hadn't-
change.
If I hadn't
It's a
had
shame.
that
and
experience.
and then Lauro helped
Yeah.
Bruce,
Oh, yeah.
and then like
Wow.
and we can keep on going that route.
Well,
like
it
just
takes a
like-
village.
exactly.
That's so
Sure.
true. Yeah.
And there were probably Bruce Holtzman and Robert Guthrie
Yeah, in Texas. Yes.
and Jose Tomas.
Yes, the great Jose Tomas. Ray de la Torre, also in the United States, he did some work. He didn't play a lot, but like he was a good educator, as far as I understand. I
Right.
never met him. And Juan Mercadal in Miami.
Right.
They're all, it's just a building rock. You created the foundation to what is happening, and thanks to the level of your education, the students that graduated had been teaching
Mm-hmm.
and raising the entire level of everything else, So everything I think is like when they always ask Michael Jordan who's the GOAT, he always says it's very hard to answer that question because we all built from what was given
Right.
to us from before, and like it was not the same circumstances, it was not the same things, so the same, we are just building above what you left and what you created. And I truly mean that. I'm not saying this because of the camera, and you know that. It's just it is a privilege to meet you, to be your friend, and also to make sure that we can,
Oh.
collaborate, like talk, share ideas, and brainstorm on how to make, because this is far from a done deal.
Mm.
This is still, and I hate to make this comparison, but the United States compared to Europe, still like we are in baby steps.
Baby land. Yeah.
Baby
Yeah.
steps,
Yeah.
and it's just because, in the case of, for example, if you compare guitar to other like violin or piano pedagogy, they have a lot more structure.
Uh-huh.
And then the guitar is like we still kind of like it's like villages. I
Yeah.
feel like
Right.
we're like tribes,
Mhm.
and then everybody kind of follow the thing, and having more of a cohesive, education approach and things like that will increase also the possibilities in the future, and hopefully we can get there. Like I still feel like there are places in the United States that we have played that the music department didn't understood the guitar always like as like a mariachi instrument
Really?
that plays accompany at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
this point,
Wild.
it's like, and I'm like, whoa.
Whoa.
Okay, where have you been in the last 20-something years?
Yeah.
Right.
But it's still surprising.
it
This
is.
is a large country,
Yeah.
and there's a large country, and there's a lot of room
Yeah.
that we can spread, and every step in which the guitar gets promoted and gets pushed, and that every event that helps that mission, we are very grateful for it.
Yeah.
Because who knows who will be watching and
Yeah.
in which way they can support the program. In this case, you're being passed the torch, and it's a like heavy torch.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a
know
big torch.
it's a big torch
Yeah,
that you
and
need
big
to
shoes.
like big shoes to fill. But if it's like everything, I think
Not the same, yeah.
I think you do a great job. Like we all want you. Let's say it this way: we all want you to do an amazing job
Thank you.
because it's just every time a guitar program closes anywhere, a little part of us kind of dies because
Yeah.
it's very hard to reopen or to do anything after that. So it's just to keep things open. Look, all that has happened with Harvard School of Music. There was a lot of struggle with like 2 years ago that they wanted to close the entire program, and they sent a list all over like for all of us to sign to please keep it
Wow.
open.
Yeah.
Because the Harvard School of Music has been a program for such a
Forever.
long time. you know.
Yeah, huge name.
Yeah, so it is creating continuity is not just a given thing, but like we need to strive to earn it in that way.
Do
So-
you both have any ideas about how to use the new technology to reach the youngest generation? Because we all know that the youth are plugged into screens and phones. How do we promote the guitar so that it gets to them? How do we cut through the noise of everything that's on the internet? I know,
You wanna
I know,
take that?
Renee, you've done a lot of work with tone bass with Jakob Schmidt and
Yeah.
his.
I'll
stuff
tell
he
you.
does.
I'll tell you. It's a very complicated balance, not only for us but to the students, because this is kind of a generational thing of looking for views and looking for likes,
Right.
and content gets put a little bit on the second step. So
The quality.
the
of
quality
content.
the quality of the content gets put on the second step. I defer to ask my students, okay, what's hot? What is like? They all do Instagram, they do this, and I
Yeah,
have students
yeah.
like Evan Tauscher, who is huge in Instagram, and like several others that are doing so well in Instagram. But I have had talks with them as at some point you have to create also. I'm gonna go back to your question, but it's like at some point you have to like pick if you're gonna be a content creator, and then you kind of take a backside into the performance element a little bit, because to create content, to create monetizing, advertising, everything that they
Yeah.
do to create income, it takes a huge amount of work, and then therefore, what has happened is like when they eventually get invited to play in a festival just because they have views or they have this, and the promoter think, okay, this will be a good thing for a festival, and if they don't deliver well, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because what we do, I think, is we try to do a 1 hour of PR a day, in which is okay. I'm gonna answer emails. I'm gonna do whatever it is that I need to do, like post. Best idea is like if financially if we will be in the business, for example, of sports, and I would be Aaron Rodgers, I will have a whole team of people. I wouldn't be the one checking Facebook or
Right.
facing Instagram. You have a whole team of people, but because of the massive budget that is included within the platform, it allows that. But as musicians, we don't. Like it would be great if each one of us will have a coach when we are practicing. So when we get distracted, it's like, hey, watch this. Follow your forefinger. Well, watch that. It's not. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say that in China, in the Beijing Center Conservatory, they have a guide that sit down and practice with the students. That it's his job is actually be there and
To
check
guide
how the
the
student to guide the
So
students.
the progress,
Wow.
the progress
That they go.
rate is
Exponentially,
growing
yeah.
exponentially.
First of all, they are not. He doesn't let them
They don't
check
do
on
the
the
things,
phone.
yeah.
You don't practice with a cell phone there.
Yeah.
Checking. So, but going back to your question, there's no denying that the world is moving in that direction, and just fighting that is, I think, at some level, missing an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
You need to.
But
to
we need to just see how can that be
Join-
balanced.
join the boat. But I believe that there is a place for everything in the world. And again, it's important to find your personal balance, because if you don't find your personal balance, you're not going to be good at any of the aspects of what you're doing. If somebody is really, really great at this advertisement,
make a business of it.
That's
Okay.
that's
Go
then
there,
the
yes.
revenue. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still, the more the more I live, the more I think I'm already pretty much set in my opinion that just find what your heart is, where your really heart is in, and if your heart is there, yes, we need to do some of that, but there is still first number one. What's your number one? And then everything else serves that.
That,
It's
right.
not the
That
other way
purpose.
around.
Mhm.
And also, like if I'm always try to be very objective in my example. If you have an electric outlet situation, we all probably can read a few things and can fix it. But you can also call an electrician and
Call
save
the
yours-
electrician, absolutely.
and then save yourself like 3 hours of learning
Yes.
about that
Mhm.
and spend those 3 hours in
Right.
practicing
Yeah.
your instrument.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So in some ways, we need to find out specialized things that, like, okay, you do advertising, and unfortunately, the main issue with that platform is that it requires money
Mhm.
in order for you to like even explore the possibilities. I got a call by this agency. I said like, well, if you want to promote this CD, we can put it everywhere. It will cost you $10,000. And then I was like, thinking, well, it's not that we cannot afford that expense, but like,
Uh-huh.
Do we want to?
do we want to
Yeah.
like to what extent?
Yeah.
Like in my case, and I cannot speak fully for Elena, but she will probably chip in on that. I always wanted to teach guitar.
Mm.
That was my calling. Since early, I knew my great grandparents, my grandparents were all educators, and it was like I had that microchip somewhere back there that is just that's what I wanted to do. Now, I realized that in order to be the best teacher I could be, I also have to be able to do what I preach, and I
Mhm.
try to it helps with recruitment. It helps with. Most important for me, I think it helps with the objectivity of what works on the stage or doesn't.
I see. Yeah.
By doing the craft, it's like this is very pretty and very nice, but in the stage, that's not gonna come out.
It's actually
Mhm.
essential in to play, not necessarily like full-sized career that Renee is having performance, but I think it's essential to perform, to be able to
Mhm.
perform and to perform at least periodically, to not to lose the sense of what are you teaching, because
Mhm.
if you perform you will teach very differently of how to practice, what to practice, because your level of understanding what's going into performance is very very different than people that they just practice, play pieces in
Yeah.
their living room and then just teach.
Having said
Right.
that, there have been good guitar teachers in this case of guitars
Mhm.
that they were not necessarily great performers,
Mhm.
but they understood what needed to happen. And of course, all of that is valid. It's just that sometimes you can only ask pears to the pear tree and apples to
Sure.
the apple tree, and they will give you, every teacher will give you the best they can of what they know and they have. It's just, as performers, we do believe that it's kind of important to stay stay connected to the instrument, so your teaching is relevant
Mhm.
and up to date of what's
Performing
happening.
is very humbling.
Yeah,
You're telling
to
me.
say the least.
Totally.
Yeah, performance is very humbling, and then the guitar performance is even more crushing, I'll say.
He has crushing sometimes.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
better than I do
Right.
about that, but.
But it's just, I think it's my mother was a ballerina with a Cuban ballet for many years,
Wow.
and then she became a choreographer and so. Point when I wanted to play guitar, she was like, "Don't do the arts, my son. Don't do it. It's like a never-ending uphill battle."
Yeah.
But I tried, and I was very good in physics, and my major was in philology, not in music. I became a full-time musician in the United States, and maybe we go there or not. But the point of the story is that in order to do this well, there has to be some madness almost related to it, in
Yeah.
which you cannot see yourself doing anything else.
Yep.
Right.
If there is a plan B, plan A will never work.
Work. Yeah.
And if you don't fully commit, and then I tell the students, okay, let's say that you want to do this, and then you want to do musicology or music ed, so it can help you. This is all wise decisions.
Sure.
I'm not in any, because I asked them to do it myself.
Mhm.
But I said, like, if you want to have a real shot, give 1 or 2 years fully to plan A,
Mhm.
and then reassess and see where are you at, and this is something that you want to continue pursuing, and like you will understand the sacrifice that it takes, but also the rewards that it gives, and this is something that will feed enough for you to maintain, because you need to be obsessed with that. People when they get out of work, I mean, I'm not saying everyone, but like everyone that is great at their thing, when they get out of work, they don't stop working. Their brain doesn't disengage and go to the couch and watch a TV series. They keep thinking.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes at 3 a.m. I wake up and like, oh, this fingering for this student, for a lesson. And it's like, damn, at 3 a.m. And then I come back, it's like, you woke me up at 3 a.m. And they're like, what? What? I didn't do such things. Like, yes, you did. You don't know it. You don't know it, but you did. So point is like that you don't stop there. It's like always it's a constant engagement, and that's the thing with the arts. We don't play guitar for 4 days, and you feel that your fingers are crumbling. It's like, wait a minute, I've been doing this instrument for such a long time. Why is it so ungrateful? And the truth is, it's not ungrateful. It's just the reality of it, and it's a skill-based instrument. A craft. If you're on top of it, you're on top of it. If you're not, then it will show. And then at some point, as a musician, we both have had it, and I'm sure you both as well, that you reassess your life. It's like, where are you at? Where you want? What's the direction that I want to take? And it's never clear when you're on the path, but sometimes just by staying on track, things gain clarity. This is, I would say, in some levels, this is more like instead of a fast race, it's more like a marathon, like a walking pace. It's you're going the distance. And when I was a student in Cuba, I was just like any other guitarist. I was actually pretty, I wouldn't say mediocre, but like I was just average, And I just stuck with it. And then things started happening. And then also all of a sudden, at some point, the path started getting clearer. Like from 300 guitarists now, it's only 10 people that are that are still doing it. Then 5 people that are still doing it, and eventually you're the only one or one of the few. But that has to be done carefully with reassessment, because you cannot be oblivious and blind to the facts of the signs that are getting back to you. Meaning, like, not everybody is gonna be a performer,
right?
And you just need to at some time come to grips with that and say, like, I love this thing, but every time I go on the stage, I'm so nervous, and the whole thing is so nerve-wracking that I'm so miserable. I mean, do I want to do that? So there are ways of overcoming to a certain degree, but at some point you need to see
what's your strength.
What's your strength are, and then
and put what effort you can put in it to the finest degree, but then really realistically assess what's happening. What's your field? Who are you? Like, what your peers are doing, and how you see yourself in that situation.
In that market,
right?
Because what is true is like it is an uphill, but at some point you have to have some landmarks where you kind of like reassess and think and get ready again to get to the next climb. It's like a steps, like I would say.
It is really a journey.
It is. It is a journey, and like I never thought I was gonna be a classical guitarist. It was not. I just was an amateur player that liked doing it, and I just learned and practiced. And what I did, the difference is I did take it seriously. I loved it, but I was just not. It was not gonna be my career. And when I came to the United States, the guitar, because the philology degree was not, well, first I didn't finish, so I had to like transfer all the credits and start pretty much from scratch.
Wow.
And with the guitar, because it's skill-based, I could audition for a master's. And that's how the whole thing like happened, like audition to Yale, and then she came like 2 years after we met there. And all of a sudden the skill-based became a way of life, a form of life. So it's never, and I tell that to all the students, you never know in which way what you're doing currently, right now, is going to be relevant for your future. So you got to give them your very best, because you don't know. Like, before I ever drove anything, I was working for like 2 years in Miami, 1995 to 1997, in a warehouse. Thank you. And how I learned to drive? With a forklift.
Wow.
That's what I did. I did like a forklift. So when I went to the car, I was like, okay, this is
Not
kind of
bad.
similar. But point is, like, if I would have been and this is that is something that I learned that time, because when you come as an immigrant, you have this wall of resistance that we all have, like it sticks there, otherwise it would be easier for everyone. And when I will mention, I'm a guitarist and I like playing, and I'm also philologist, like they'll be like, oh, you're gonna be in this warehouse for the rest of your life, like working. Maybe you go up a little, and then at some point I had to break that chain and say like, okay, no, I'm gonna just leave all the comfort to that some degree that having a salary and all of that creates, to the uncertainty, to try to give it a shot to the possibility, which it won't be possible otherwise. I will still be in that warehouse, and that's what happens. A lot of people get put in a situation that if you don't do what needs to be done, the circumstances will put you in a place that then you cannot change.
Right.
So you need to be upfront about that. Like if you are not gonna be proactive about what your future is gonna be looking like, then the situation will just put you in a place that maybe you don't have a lot of choices. So it's good to give it best, all you got, and then after that move on and see and see if this is actually for you. And when we got students coming in auditions, like, are you sure you really want to do this? Like I said, like 5 times. It's like, this is crazy. You understand? It's not a yacht, boat, like a swimming pool house. That's not in your future. This is like, but beauty is in the future, and spreading love. And I think I don't want to be pessimistic with this, because we are musicians. It's a different type of abundance. It's one that you cannot live without. So it's just like, it's not being pessimistic. It's like just a reality. And what is more important for you, the swimming pool on the yacht, or going around the world spreading beauty and connecting to people through music, which is completely,
that is beautiful.
Which is, I have to say,
you are a rich man because of that.
It's one of the blessings that playing the instrument give you. And you were people that had no idea, don't speak the same language, and they relate to what you do, and they open to you, and all of that happens.
Also, the inner satisfaction we get just of listening the phrase. I mean, sometimes we work with the students, and we go to such an exquisite amount of details to how do you strike that note, with how do you build that phrase, and you think, how important is this? But it is really, really, really deeply important. That's what gives us the satisfaction. That's our happiness. That's our
enjoying the
that's
journey.
our abundance.
And to be able to work at something you love.
That's true too. Absolutely. I
Because-
think we are blessed that the fact that we can because it was against all odds in many of the situations. It's just
Truly, for both of us.
No, for all 4 of us, I think. There's a struggle everywhere. It's just, and I will say, for the younger generation out there, I do not necessarily agree that this time is particularly more difficult than ever before. Every generation had to deal with their own set of difficulties and challenges, and you need to cross them up. There is the wall of resistance, and that wall is there is precisely to test your perseverance. If you keep knocking at that wall and then you give up, maybe the next knock was the one that was gonna knock it down, and you don't know. But if you knock, and you walk away, then if you want it enough, that you punch again. This is with reassessment, not with craziness. Make sure in there, that wall in there is precisely that. Is that quality control? I will say that needs to happen. So going back to your questions, how do we deal with social media and all of that to promote? First, in order to have that to be successful, you need to have something worth promoting.
Yes.
So content comes first, and not just any content, but if you can try to make the content to be relevant to what you're good at. In this case, your instrument, if that's what it is, that will connect to people, that will identify to people, and then you can have a shot at something that is not shallow.
Right.
I'll say to some degree, but we definitely cannot ignore it.
Yeah.
So
Probably it's also
yeah.
important to connect with the younger generation regarding that conversation because they are truly better at this new technology.
Absolutely,
Oh,
they
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And
I have
you
no
know, this is the kind of things we need to collaborate with them to
Right.
To improve.
not
Yeah.
only to teach, but for them also to understand our position and help us, and we as a result helping them in content.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
find that they have very little tolerance to our brutality with like they go like I ask a student like, can you help me with this, and they go like blah, blah, blah. They do
Yeah,
it. It's
they
like,
swipe, they
well,
click,
you,
they-
you missed the point. My point is not for you to do it for me. It's
Oh,
I
yeah.
need you to
Oh, yeah.
walk me through so I at least understand what the heck
Now
is
this
happening
is your
there.
teacher training.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
understand.
Yeah, this is your moment to like educate me.
Exactly.
You know, like please show me how it's done, not just do it for me, because that doesn't help me. That just get things done faster. And I understand that time is always, precious. And
Yeah.
all
But
that.
certainly we need to join, not
Yeah.
to
No fighting.
swim against. We need to
Right.
join for
Right.
sure. That's where the world is going.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So Elliot, I know we're probably gonna have to wrap it up, but like
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask you a question that where do you think this whole thing is going? After all the years, all the guitar. I'm talking about guitar. I'm talking about government, nothing like that. Just guitar. What do you think this whole thing is going like from what you started to now, and like what do you think it should be in your appreciation with all these years of seeing people coming and going, administrations in and out? Like, what do you think we should focus on as guitarists? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
Keep-
like
Keep building the standard.
keep building the standard.
Keep building the standard. It's so different now. It's like I'm religiously grateful that I don't have to start over. And that I would be a student now.
Hmm.
You know, I would have advantage. I'd have better instruction probably, so I
Yeah.
might have started earlier. But no, I think keep building the quality, and people hopefully will hear,
Hmm.
Mm.
and continue to advocate the way you're advocating.
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
I mean, I did my part. You guys
yeah,
do it now.
yeah. We'll do the best we can to follow that up.
Oh, you already are. What happened, this summer with your student, and
Yeah.
I mean, can't do much better than that.
I think I do, in the sense of like she's referring to one like last year we have Kevin Lowe winning second prize on the GFA. This year we have Leonel Alejandro from Puerto Rico, one of my students, winning the GFA. I think I do,
Yeah.
in the sense not on the sense of better than that. It's like, but rather like show them a long-term relationship with an instrument of
Mhm.
love and nurturing that, and not rushing through the process.
Mhm.
Like because it's very often I find that because we are in academic world, that there's some standards that need to be met, and there's some invisible lines that are like that we have traced. Like by third year you need to be playing this repertoire, that thing, this,
Yes.
that, or that, and not necessarily goes along with the track of where they are musically and otherwise. So I think I appreciate that. I do, because we have put a lot of work in all of the students.
Yes, you have.
But it is more important for me to like show them like how to make a living, and how to be, for us, how to be better humans,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end that's what people take. If you are a good musician and you're a difficult person, people won't relate the same
No.
way. People just
Right.
kind of stand you because you're great, and then like they kind of, okay, he's difficult, but man, he's so good. But like if you could be difficult with yourself and not with
Other
others,
people.
that would be probably better.
I like that. Yeah.
That would be probably better, I think.
Yeah.
So in other words,
Sometimes Yeah, just not all the time difficult with this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we
Sometimes
have
take-
a lot
yeah.
of that already in our life, like that we feel
Yeah.
this is not good enough. This is not good enough. Sometimes it's just
We
where
all
you're
need-
at
We all need a grandmother.
Yeah.
to tap us in the back.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yes,
it's,
we do.
and today for the program, just in case, because we needed to talk a little bit about that. I don't know if you even like mention anything about it. I wanted to celebrate. We're playing. It's part of the Latin American month, Heritage Month. So we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a small change to the program because we were gonna play Tedesco Sonatina Canonica, but I realized if we take that out and I play some solos, then the second half will be all Cuban music. So I said, okay, let's do that, and I will change. But the first part we'll do Scarlatti, just an honorary Spanish composer, and we'll do Soar, the Fantasy Opus 54, which is one of the later work on his life when he wanted to return to Spain and was denied because he was pro Napoleon. He kind of he went back to Paris to the court and left Spain, and then the Spanish government never allowed him to return. He's still buried in Montmartre Cemetery, and this is one of the few pieces by Soar that actually has like a Spanish theme embedded,
Right,
which
right.
is his music was always very French.
Yeah.
I'd say in many ways elegant. I would
Classical.
classical.
Just
But this was
classical.
like he finished with a kind of fandango waltz air, sorry, in this fantasy, and we're gonna put just one piece that we love, which is the Brahms theme and variations, the second
Oh,
movement.
yeah.
That it's very hard to say no to Brahms. Like we don't get to play the greatest composers usually because they never wrote for the guitar, but this arrangement suits. I think not bad. And we do some Cuban music, some 19th century Cuban dances for duo. Then I play some solo. Elena is gonna play some Barrios solos.
Great.
So we'll try to keep it, as nice and as possible with all the audience, because it's always hard to gauge what they would like. So we'll give it a taste of everything and see what we get after that. So, but it's been a pleasure to talking to you guys, getting to know you, getting
Great to
to
meet
like
you.
acknowledge Elliot's, trajectory here
Yeah.
today, and the opportunity to share the stage with Elena again.
It's
So-
a great honor for me to play back with Renee again, and just to have this amazing music that they can play with the amazing player. I just have to keep my standards,
Oh, you do your
No,
song.
you will. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have work to do to play with an amazing duo partner.
Oh, it's all about the music.
Yes.
It's all about the music and the enjoyment. And also, I would say one thing is is the journey what makes it bearable. Because the fact that you want to go and practice and get that passage and like feel good about that, that's what makes things all worthwhile too.
Yeah.
And then of course it's the final retribution when you're on the stage and people hear and things come out the way you want. All that is great. But it's just the time that you're with yourself that is the most meaningful. Because it's the one that keeps feeding your desire to go back to practice and improving and
Right.
getting better at it. And it doesn't matter the style. I think these are very general things like jazz or classical or those are flamenco. Doesn't matter. It's just about what do you have to say.
Right.
What are you sharing? What do I want to go back and do I want to go back and hear you playing? You're gonna be one of these players that will leave a memorable experience. That the next time I see you, I must go and watch your show. It's that kind of tracking that gets you to be. We may not be great at social media and all of that, but we are trying to at least maintain the standards and pass what we have learned, and then in turn they can expand with this knowledge, adding the social media component of it. The world keeps getting smaller soon enough. But I will tell you one thing. I mean, I keep saying this is the last thing I'm gonna say. but it's just keep floating in my head. It's just for those people out there, go see live concerts. MP3s, it does not compare, not even remotely. It shadows the life experience performance because there's some electricity, some energy that happens there that is so variable in every event, in every
Yes.
concert. I know that it's very comfortable to stay in your couch and walk in your and watching your pajamas a full concert, but I guarantee you, it's not the same. It's not the same. No matter how good technically we'll become and proficient, will never be the same. Go back to the concert halls, fill those seats. You will, you will be rewarded, and at the same time, the industry will be rewarded in the way because it can sustain and it can maintain musicians, you know, because things are changing so rapidly, and
Yeah.
especially since the pandemic that it accelerated the whole. There were,
Right.
of course, many good things. Like, for example, now I can teach people from anywhere in the world,
Mm-hmm.
with Zoom. It's not ideal, but at least they get some instruction,
Right.
But not everything is. And watching live concerts.
And remember how crazy we were all to get out of our houses after pandemic, right? How
Yeah.
people all of a sudden traveling picked up, people started driving everywhere, traveling everywhere, airports were full. And it's just because we need this live interaction, we need this energy of just that's very important.
So if you're in your
Absolutely.
pajamas, come tonight. You'll be better. You'll be better off. They will have probably a very good quality stream and all of that, but it won't be the same.
Yep.
We want the body heat in the room. We need that.
Right.
We need that. We need that. It fits us. It's not only about playing a concert, but it's like feeling that what we're doing makes a difference and matters.
Great. Thank you. Perfect.
That's it.
Hey.
Perfect.